Welcome once again to the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We have an amazingly short meeting to talk about, believe it or not. It was just over a half hour on October 17th. We'll give you the recap of that meeting. Also, a lot going on in the city through October and throughout the winter, so stay in touch for more information. No items pulled from consent on the 17th, so let's begin with the open forum. One resident came forward to speak. What was the topic?
Yeah, so this is a resident that lives on Dallas Lane, just expressing some concern about the transition of some single-family homes to rental and some issues they're having in the neighborhood. Joe Hogaboom, our Community Economic Development Director, was able to talk about, right now we have a new rental license moratorium for single-family townhome and single-entry units. And the purpose of that is to give us some time to take a look at our rental licensing program and see if there's any tweaks that we want to make to that. But hand in hand with that is kind of the code enforcement arm. And if there's issues happening at the property that are, whether they be code enforcement related or public safety related, encouraging the resident to reach out to those agencies to help. But we also will be following up to kind of talk about what's happening on the property and what their concerns are, and talking about our rental licensing program.
And again, not something that just the City of Maple Grove is looking at. This is something that all cities throughout the metro, I'm sure, in the state are looking at with rental housing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this has been a national trend, really, is a lot of corporate interests buying up single-family homes and turning them to rental. And sometimes those landowners can be absentee, in Texas or out east somewhere where we have a hard time getting response on property management issues. So, yeah, no, we're not alone in navigating this issue.
Couple public hearings at the meeting on the 17th that are annual events for the city, and it deals with delinquent utility accounts, delinquent weed and tree certification. First, just a little background. Why does this happen each year, and what was the context this year? Yeah,
so every year we go through the process to determine, delinquent utility counts from the year, as well as any delinquent weed and tree certifications. And those are when we're going out and doing a force mow on a property or taking care of the types of issues that are code enforcement nuisance related. This year, pretty similar. We kind of keep track every year of not only the number of accounts that are delinquent, but also the dollar amount, and we're pretty on par with the last 5 years. So every year we go through this process in October, and then those get either the property owner has an opportunity to settle that up, or then it gets assessed to the taxes for the coming year. So it's a process that we go through to hold the public hearing for that process.
One more public hearing. This is the special assessments against some projects that happened during the last year, and you've got a long list of projects.
Yeah, about $23 million worth of public improvements here that'll be assessed out to benefited lands. And so that includes any development project where we're building new streets, sewer, water, utilities, stormwater. It also includes our street maintenance projects. And in this situation, we did have where we came in and did a tree removal. And so that can get assessed to your property owner, our property, as well as some other utility repairs that get done throughout the year. So again, an annual process, and then those get assessed to the taxes for this upcoming year.
Let's jump ahead to community and economic development. A few items to touch on here from the meeting on the 17th. First is something called Erickson Addition Short Plat. Sounds like a small lot, maybe with a new home.
Yeah, so this is a lot out at Appaloosa Woods, kind of on the west edge of the city on Yellowstone Lane. And it was really just a lot split from one lot to two, and then the opportunity to build on that second lot. So that was approved by the council.
Next item was Rush Hollow, and we've talked about this multiple times on past meetings. Give us the update on why it came back and what the step was taken at the council meeting.
Yeah, so this step in the process is when the resolution comes back for that final approval. And this was a split vote at the city council meeting, so brought it back to the regular meeting so that those members could vote, to continue to vote in that way. So this one did get approved, the development plan on a 3-2 vote, and then the rezoning on a unanimous vote.
And again, in a nutshell, Rush Hollow is where and what type of development? Yeah,
so this is a residential development kind of north of County Road 81, west of Fernbrook along the Territorial Road corridor. About 160 acres and about 530 housing units, so pretty significant development project here. A lot of discussion about lot sizes and a couple different versions of the plan that came from the developer in response to those concerns. And so this project will start moving. I think they do plan to start moving some dirt, maybe even yet this fall.
All right, very good. We'll keep our eye on that. Now a report of a couple things coming up in community and economic development, and a couple openings you're going to be excited about here. First is Sierra. Tell us about this long-awaited event. event.
Yeah, so Sierra Trading Company is opening kind of in the shops, sort of on the west end of the shops, if you will. The former Northwest, I think, Bible. It was a bookstore there in there. So in that space, some people will notice they've painted the sign. It's kind of a bright orange, and Sierra Trading Company. It's outdoorsy type clothing and equipment type thing, and a little bit more moderately priced, I think, in the market. So we're excited to have them occupy this space and get open for business. They've been working on that space for a while. So they are planning a ribbon cutting at 7:45 a.m. on Saturday.
Bright and early.
So you got to be the early bird
Yes.
to get there for the ribbon cutting, and then opening the sort of the public at 8 o'clock that Saturday morning.
Very nice. And not too far away, another big event coming up soon over on Main Street.
Yep.
The work continues on, and you're going to have an opening.
Yeah, so they were paving this afternoon as I
Yes.
drove over
How
here to
about
the
that?
studio, so we're grateful to that. When it gets down in the 20s and 30s, that trips us up on the paving work a little bit,
Right.
so we were grateful that the temps got nearer 40 and above today. So they're out there paving. So we are planning a kind of a grand reopening celebration for Main Street, celebrating this refresh. It looks really sharp out there. The new sidewalks and the curb edges, you know, we had kind of that crumbling paver situation going on out there, and some of the planting beds were getting quite, the bricks were dislodged and that type of thing. So really excited to have this refresh done, and we'll be celebrating that on Monday afternoon, the 24th. I think that's at 4 o'clock. Ribbon cutting at 4:15. Event is from 4 to 5, and some of the businesses along Main Street will be participating as well. So we encourage people to come on out and take a look at the Main Street refresh.
Yeah, I'm sure those businesses happy to have things back open to
Yes.
full speed there. One other note from the Planning Commission, their meeting for the 31st of October has been canceled, so we'll update you on what they're doing in November. One item from Public Works talking about the drought conditions. So Ken gave an update that things continue to be a little tenuous.
Yeah, so we continue to have pretty strong drought conditions here. What will help is now people are done, you know, watering lawns, that type of thing. So that really helps us with water supply issues. But I think some continuing issues, just the water levels in our lakes are quite low. So I've heard stories of folks having, you know, trouble getting boats off lifts this fall and that type of a thing. So we're hoping for hopefully a strong snow winter. Maybe we could even eke out a couple rainy days yet this fall before things get real cold. But just to keep things in mind that we're going into the winter here in a pretty strong drought position, and so hopefully that can be remedied somewhat over the winter. But those issues will come again here as we get into the spring months after the winter.
Very good. Final note to talk about. You gave a quick update on absentee voting, and it sounds like people are turning out on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so we're hosting, you know, anywhere from 50 to 60 voters every day at the Government Center. We're there Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. We do have some extended hours coming up here to accommodate absentee voting. We will be open on Saturday, November 7th. I'm sorry. Nope, I'm going to say the wrong date. We're open the Saturday before the election, which would be the 5th, from 10 to 3 that day for absentee voting. And so at the Government Center. And then also on that Monday prior to the election, we'll be open from 8 to 5 that day. So another half hour on election eve. So again, Saturday, November 5th from 10 to 3, and then Monday, November 7th from 8 to 5. And of course, every day from 8 to 4:30 up till that time. And then polls will open the morning of the election day, November 8th at 7 a.m. And we'll be there till 8 p.m. And then start to see the totals come in.
A long day for a lot of staff people and for volunteers.
Yes.
Again, go to the city's website, maplegrovemn.gov. If you want to find out more election information. We'll pass along a couple other tidbits about that. So that's it for the meeting on the 17th. Now moving ahead to a few things happening around the city. And first is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. That is the month of October. Again, remind us of some of the things happening in the city.
Yeah, so earlier in the month of October, we had the vigil that was held at Town Green, and that was done by the Maria's Voice organization that we have partnered with on domestic violence awareness education. And so also the lighting up of Town Green, as well as the front of the Government Center is lit up purple this year in recognition of this effort. And we're just doing more around social media and education to the community about the issue of domestic violence. In addition, the police department is doing the Purple Patch program throughout the month of October. So if you see our officers out, they have the purple patch on their uniforms. And then members of the public can buy that patch for $10. And half of those funds go to the Maria's Voice organization to help them and support their work. So very important issue of this this community for, in particular, the month of October, and really wanting to get the word out that services are available to folks. There are resources out there, and I think one of the pieces with Maria's Voice effort is really to make the common signs of domestic violence common knowledge, and so that helping people to understand what that looks like and what a healthy relationship looks like. So if folks have questions, they can certainly give a call up to the police department, but we encourage people to, even seek out the Maria's Voice website as well.
One other item from the police department, something you can get in on as well, is coat drive.
Yes.
It's coat drive time again. Tell us about some of the parameters.
Yeah, so they are doing a coat drive through the end of November. New and gently used winter coats. There's a drop box in the main entrance of the public safety facility, and these will be donated then to the Salvation Army to help folks through this winter months.
Let's hop over to the community center. Quick update there as that project goes forward. As far as information about that project, tell us again where the best place is to find the information, and again, what are some of the parameters around what we're looking for here with the community center?
Yeah, so the great place for information is our project website, growingtogethermaplegrove.org. Lots of information there about the project, the planning that has been done, how the funding is proposed to work, and information about voting on Election Day, what the ballot question looks like. So we have proposed a reinvestment for the community center, an expansion renovation. The proposed budget for that project is $116 million. On your ballot this fall here in November in Maple Grove, you will have a ballot question asking for authority for a half-cent sales tax to raise up to $90 million to provide funding for that project. And so many aspects of the project included a third sheet of ice, expanded space for the seniors, space for the arts, a new indoor playground space, a walking path, kind of renovated banquet expo space, as well as aquatic facilities. So Maple Grove Community Center, well-loved, well-worn, well-attended, over 25 years of service in the community, and it's really, time for some reinvestment. And we often get the question, what will happen if the sales tax doesn't pass? And, really there still is a need to address issues in the community center. We have issues with our mechanical systems, roofs, pools that are kind of falling apart, those types of things that we will need to address. And so if that is the case, the council will in January take a kind of look at that and come back with a project, and that would then be borne on the tax levy.
Okay. Very good. Again, more information, growingtogethermaplegrove.org. A few other notes about the election coming up. There are candidates running for city council. Where can people find out more information? Yeah,
so the CCX Media website includes candidate video statements as well as replays of the candidate forums that were held this fall. There were candidate forums not only for our city council races, but also the state representative and state senate seats here as well. And then the Osseo Maple Grove Press has candidate statements on their website, and that information was also published in the October 6th edition of the paper. Many of the candidates also have their own websites or a presence on social media, and if you go to the Secretary of State's website, you can find that information there for each of those candidates running for City Council here in Maple Grove.
We've mentioned a few times the weather turning a little bit cooler, and the folks at the farmers market recognize that as well, and they're smart. They're going to have one last outdoor run, and then they're moving inside.
Yeah, so I think they're actually going to have a decent day tomorrow for the outdoor market. It has been a little chilly and I think a little rainy last Thursday. So Thursday, October 20th, the last day for the outdoor market. The hours are 3 to 6 p.m. And then in November, we're going to move inside, and they have 2 dates set for that. Thursday, November 10th, and Tuesday, November 22nd. Right before the Thanksgiving holiday, and those hours are from 3 to 6 p.m. and they still have about over 25 vendors for the indoor market, so we really encourage people to come out for that.
Very good. Couple final notes to pass along, happening in late October, early November. First one for late October, as you might guess, something to do with Halloween. We've got Trunk or Treat. Where's this happen?
Yeah, so this is in the community center parking lot. Very popular event. Saturday, October 29th from 1 to 4. There's a costume contest, free treats, music, a lot of fun activities. And I think I was talking with Chuck in our Parks and Recreation Department earlier today. They get thousands of kids that show up to this event. I think it's very popular, and a lot of the community groups will decorate a trunk. I know our Rotary Club is going to be doing that again this year, and so it's just a fun day for the kids to get out and again, Saturday, October 29th from 1 to 4 in the community center parking lot.
So that's in the parking lot, and you might want to go inside shortly after that the next week because there's a sale going on.
Yeah, so we have our community center membership sales. You can take advantage of a 10% off membership rates from November 1st to November 7th. And then we do anticipate some price increases coming in January, so it's a good opportunity to get that in before the start of the year.
All right, back to the 29th real quickly for our last note here. We've got buckthorn out in the town, and there's some folks ready to bust up the buckthorn.
Yeah, so the Arbor Committee has been very active, and it's buckthorn, trying to rid the buckthorn from the community. So its annual buckthorn bust in the South Forest Preservation Area will be held on October 29th. And then recently the Arbor Committee partnered with the Maple Grove Rotary Club to remove buckthorn from the Arboretum and the surrounded trail network. So I think a lot of these groups are kind of trying to come together and deal with some of these issues in the community around buckthorn. So look for the Arbor Committee to be out in the South Forest Preservation Area on October 29th.
Very good. Thanks for their service in the community. Final note to pass along, very timely here as we record this on the Wednesday. We had a fire that occurred in the city at a city building. Give us some information of what we know at this point.
Yeah, so about a little after 9 o'clock last night, got a call that the old Village Hall was on fire, and this is an old Village Hall that served the community from 1939 to 1975. If you're not familiar with it, it's up at Lakeview Knolls Park, kind of right sort of just south and west of the old City Hall there, right on Fernbrook Lane there. So very, disappointing to see that happening. It's kind of a treasured old building here as part of our history at the City of Maple Grove. And it currently had been functioning or as functioning as a park building. People could reserve that for meetings or different activities. And there were bathrooms there located as well that people could access as part of Lakeview Knolls Park. We have a pickleball facility there that has a lot of activity in it. So they were able to get the fire put out pretty quickly, but there's quite a bit of damage in the building. And in talking with the fire chief, he noted that if this was a building that had been built in today's world, it probably would have gone up rather quickly, but a lot of legacy construction there and older lumber that it's slower to burn, and so maybe saved by its history a bit. So we're hoping we're going to be able to kind of put that back together. So their fire investigation ongoing right now, as well as kind of working through issues with insurance, and we'll kind of formulate a path forward. But unfortunately, it does look like maybe it was an arson situation. So there is information being put out by our police department that there's a vehicle of interest that we're looking for information about. I think Chief Bush did also send that out on Code Red system, so getting word out to folks about that there. So yeah, two pretty significant fires in a short period of time here, and the Line Greenhouse fire looking like that was an arson situation as well. And we've noticed, other kind of historical buildings having this same issue in the metro area down in Minneapolis. So kind of a disturbing trend, but hopefully we're able to identify, folks that were involved there and address that in short order. But if folks can go take a look at that press release, and if they have any information about that vehicle, or if they were in the area last evening and have any information, our police department would be interested in that.
Very good. All right. Well, that's your update of what's happening in the city of Maple Grove and that last council meeting in October. Let's look ahead to the next meeting that is coming up in November, and you'll recognize the date. It's the date before the election, so Monday the 7th, 7:30 at the Government Center. Information down at the bottom of the screen, phone number to call, and website. As always, the place for lots of information about the city of Maple Grove. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the City of Maple Grove Report.